Cisco Endpoint AMP analysis, low prevalence. All right, lots of Cisco Talos links here. Check them out. A lot of cool stuff from a security perspective. So low prevalence allows Cisco to further analyze a file that we have not seen before and is statistically low presence globally. So Threat Grid will sandbox the file, right, and then provide that disposition. If that disposition is malware, we're going to perform what we call as a cloud recall and ultimately wanting to quarantine the file, right? This is also known as retrospection. AMP for endpoints could then be leveraged to trace back the initial infection vector using device trajectory. We've seen this before. So this attack is simple yet effective, right? It's going to make that exe appear to be a PDF, and most users aren't able to see that and obviously will execute the payload. So again, we go to dashboards, a lot of great stuff there. We're going to go to our inbox, and now we're going to look for things that are requiring attention. Okay, in our case, we're going to look for that demo low prevalence PC. And as you can see here, we just pivoted to one of the related events, which happens to be fake extension, right? So that file is containing a benign extension prior to the exe execution. So if we look at this a little bit, right, and we start drilling into that IOC, we can see very quickly that report.pdf.exe is malicious, right? Again, we have all the reference points there that we can dig into. We also see a bunch of PYD files that are created to the left, right? So we can see that. That suggests that Python interpreter was involved here. We can also see that it made some connections outbound, right? Some to a .ru site, but we do know that, right? Now, if we wanted to just search a specific element, we can very quickly do that. And I'm just showing you that here, that I can very quickly hone into a specific area. And in this case, I'm looking for that URL. Okay, so let's continue the investigation. So as we're drilling into here, you can see on the left, we've got some green, some red, right? We try to visually make it easy for you to understand what's taking place. So we can see that report file that we're interested in. And if we go back a bit, what we can see is the first detection, right? So we see that the CR download, which is the temporary process when Google downloads, is detected but not quarantined. And then shortly after that, if we look at it, we can see that the file was quarantined, right? And that's the move action from Google, now taking it from that name to the report.pdf.exe. Okay, so that's all good stuff, right? We can see that it was quarantined. Now, let's dig into this a little bit further. Let's go to the events page and let's see how this actually transitioned. So the first thing that we see here is that we requested a file fetch. Now that file fetch is based on the low prevalence setting, right? We're saying that we haven't seen this, so we want to send it up to the cloud. And then from there, the cloud went and put it in the sandbox, did all the magical stuff it does. It provided a disposition, and we see that second event. And in this case, the second event is showing us a threat score of 100. Obviously, at this point, the file is deemed malicious. And now we're going to poke the AMP cloud to let everybody know that this file is bad, right? And in this case, when we look at the report itself, we can see the behavioral indicators that suggest that it's bad. In our case, the one that really stands out is this process-enabled autorun through creation of autorun.inf, and that is used to help spread the infection of malware, right? Using network file shares, etc., right? So now what I want to do is just very quickly go look for that cloud recall quarantine successful. And you can, I'm just showing you a very quick search capability, right? And I can see very quickly that the quarantine itself was successful. So that's great. We know that it was mitigated. We kind of know how it came in, right? We know Chrome was involved, but let's dig into this a little bit further, right? Let's see how it actually all started. Where did we go to get the file? And so we can dig a little bit deeper here, right? So if we look at the connection event there, right? we can very quickly see that we went out to that IP address using 443. Okay, Chrome was obviously created that outbound connection. And we've already established that earlier, right? And then we can see this unconfirmed, right? So the 76952.cr download. We can see that's unconfirmed. At this point, it's unknown disposition. And then we see that report.pdf. .exe, right? And with Windows by default, if known file extensions are hidden, so the .exe could be hidden, and I could change the icon to make it look like a PDF, right? So the user wouldn't even know. As we start drilling in a little bit further, again, we can see that report pdf.exe, and we can see it was executed by SVC hosts, right? So very quickly now we know what URL or site we went to. We pulled down the file and we got infected during that process. So very quickly we can determine exactly what happened.